The first chapter of One Piece is one of my favorite openings to any story. One element I love about One Piece is how the ending of a conflict will be layered with meaning. So let's go over how the first chapter builds an incredibly cathartic and meaningful punch. This series of course opens on the death of Gold Roger, which introduces the idea of Pirate King, One Piece, and the Great Pirate Era. But this opening creates one more major idea which will be explored throughout this chapter. The idea of people setting out to sea, chasing greatness and glory. This of course immediately transitions to Luffy as a child, stabbing himself in the face to prove his bravery as a man, establishing right out the gate Luffy's very childish idea of greatness and being a man. Luffy doesn't understand why people have scars and thinks that it is simply proof that they are not afraid of dying. He clearly puts his scar on the same place Shanks has his own scar to show Shanks that he is a man just like him. During Luffy's party, we see Shanks refusing to accept Luffy's wishes to join him on an adventure. Luffy doesn't understand why he isn't considered a man, despite his act of bravery and bragging about how his punches are as powerful as pistols. But Shanks' idea of being a man is shown when the mountain bandits show up. After Shanks refuses to fight them, Luffy berates what he considers to be a very pitiful act of cowardice. But what Shanks is trying to show Luffy is that a man is not someone who uses his strength to fight for something as petty as his pride. But to Luffy, greatness is all in appearances, which is why he put on an act of bravery in the first place. His idea of greatness, much like his scar, is quite shallow. If Shanks were to use force to intimidate them, he would be no better than the bandit doing the same thing. Unfortunately, this is a lesson that Luffy doesn't quite take to heart as he attacks the mountain bandits himself. When Shanks shows up to Luffy's rescue, Shanks tells Luffy something very important, that a man is someone who fights to protect his friends. This is a lesson that Luffy takes to heart, as this time, Shanks and his crew actually fight back, showing Luffy he really did mean what he said. After the mountain bandits escape, he throws Luffy into the sea as Luffy laments his inability to land even a single punch. That's when something very important happens. The mountain bandit is devoured by a sea king. This represents the dangers of the sea. Luffy couldn't do anything to the mountain bandit, and now that same bandit was immediately killed by the sea king. Luffy is not ready for the sea. After Shanks comes to Luffy's rescue, he manages to scare away the Sea King with just a stare. Keep in mind that when Shanks' crew fought the mountain bandits, they had to make actual physical contact with them. But even though the Sea King literally took off his arm, Shanks can intimidate him with just a stare. It shows that the kind of people who can survive in these seas are the kinds of people who see even this Sea King as a minor obstacle. But there is one more important lesson that Shanks is teaching Luffy in this moment. What it means to bear a scar. It is not simply to be fearless of death. Shanks' scar is one that he got by putting his life on the line for others. This moment was important in shaping the type of man Luffy would strive to become in the future. Luffy has come to understand that he is not ready and will one day become a pirate on his own. Shanks mocks Luffy one last time before Luffy makes his iconic declaration. One day, I will obtain a better crew than yours, find One Piece, and become Pirate King. When Shanks gives Luffy his hat, it's the first real act of acknowledgement Shanks has ever given Luffy. Up until this point, he has done nothing but mock Luffy's declarations of setting out to sea, as most of them were childish and naive acts, like stabbing himself in the face or claiming his punches were as powerful as pistols. But this is the first real declaration Luffy makes towards his goal to become a pirate, one that does not sugarcoat himself by claiming he is already a brave and strong man, but that one day he will become one. Which brings us to Luffy years later, finally setting out to sea. He is immediately faced with the same Sea King as before, which he then handily defeats with one punch. Luffy was once a naive child who couldn't even lay his hand on a single mountain bandit. But this one punch conveys so much of Luffy's growth. A punch that symbolically shows he can handle the dangers of the sea and that truly is more powerful than a pistol. This chapter opened on the idea of people's dream to chase after greatness, with Luffy's story giving us the first true look of what it means to be a great pirate on the seas. Someone who does not bear scars for shallow reasons and fights to protect his friends. And that is why I love the first chapter of One Piece. Thank you for watching. Thank you to this month's coffee supporters Kenny Olisi and Alex Enterprises. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and leaving me a comment below on what you loved about Chapter 1. Also consider supporting me on Ko-Fi and checking out my other One Piece videos, as it helps me to make more of these videos in the future.